Yo, yo. Starbucks in the house. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? We got Mosh in the house. Justin's Beaver. Killing it as usual. Mr. Wiggles. He's here. Here. All right, man. Boom. It is 9:09 in Miami. And we are about to get into Dcentralcon. We got Crypto Grady behind me. Boom, boom. Surprisingly taller than I thought. All right. What's up, Tune Fed? Hi there. Morning. Hello. Hello, hello. Oh. Ooh. This is Dcentralcon Miami. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Hopefully you can. I got a new mic situation. Me and Mosh have one. What's up, Vibes? Where you at? We're on that perp train today. Where are you, Vibes? I thought you're here. Where's Vibes? All right, yeah, come find us.
Where's Vibes?
We're in purple.
Where's he at?
Yeah, where are you, Vibes? CG in the house.
This is a good-looking fool right here. Good.
He's talking to himself. Looking gorgeous as usual. CG on fire. Oh, DeFi. Let's roll.
Roll. No one's over there though.
Yeah, there's about to be. See what took Bolon all day yesterday to set up. Ta-da! Welcome to the kingdom, y'all. That's Mosh, you guys can hear.
Yeah, sorry. I'm mic'd up.
Mike, I might have to confiscate his mic if he doesn't understand the whole concept of a microphone.
We're here.
But he's doing good. Rough start to today. Planning, not
Bolon
his
sent us all the tickets in one
not a
big old.
planner. Don't blame it on Bolon.
I'm blaming Bolon.
I'm blaming it on
Totally
Mosh.
got in your way, like my head right in your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
right on, man.
CG
Yes.
in the house. Very bullish as usual.
this is beautiful.
See you in 15 Vibes. Vibes on his way. We're here to represent. We'll post up.
We got Sir George Dayton.
I've got my golden throne that they. This is no expense spared on this. Pure gold, Italian. Ooh, this is Bugatti. Yeah, that is Gucci.
Gooch.
You guys, I can't believe they would go all out for us.
Should we go? I guess.
The event's right next door. There's,
Where?
it's right next door. They didn't do the, right there. You'll see it's not even started yet. Yeah, it looks like we're here before the world's here. We're working the station. Welcome to DeFi Kingdoms. This is a, hey, post our stream that's on YouTube right now. The live, just copy the link and post it in a general. Anybody that wants to.
Don't knock this over.
It's in YouTube. That here. I want to go. The Beav is in the house. Man, there's a bunch of free stuff here too. I'm about that free life. You're walking out with a full kangaroo pouch. If we don't use a full kangaroo pouch today, we'll use one tomorrow. I've got my very famous Macho Man Randy Savage specs on, literally owned by him. I won him in an auction. He's a wrestler. Hopefully you all know who he is. Anybody catching our replay? I don't know what this is all about. That's a Ghostbuster. That's very cool. Yeah, he looks awesome. Feels like you saw the whole thing, eh? I'll make sure to give you guys a tour. I don't think we'll be streaming the whole day. 90% battery and I haven't even done nothing. Actually, we're gonna go into where are you guys going? For what? Oh, really? Okay. Oh. Where did you go? Hopefully you can hear me, yo. Mosh, give me your mic. You're just done. No, you're doing. Huh? I told him 5 times. Just doesn't comprehend the whole microphone thing.
I'm trying to help the environment a little bit.
Yep. Fuck that. See that guy whining about recycling? We don't do that. Burn the world, baby. Oh yeah. This is it. Look at this. Look at hippo. There we go. Maybe they're gonna be up here. I haven't seen a single one of them.
Well, let me hit them up.
CG in the house.
Vibes, where you at?
Could be here in 15.
Okay.
Hopefully you got your ticket ready. That was fun.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Vibes. Get on there. Go to Boland's link. Hurry up and go to Boland's link and do that now. So, because I think it had a counter. It was at like 40 minutes or 30 some minutes.
Yeah.
So hurry up and get on there.
Get on there. Where prime time is.
Yeah. And
hello, everybody. If you are here in real life, welcome to Miami. How many of you guys have been to Art Basel before? Awesome. And how many of you guys, this is your very, very first time?
Yeah.
Well, you're in for kind of a crazy week, I would say. For those of you who are joining us online, a big thank you to Binance. Make sure you like and follow the Dcentral page. Right now is an interesting time because the markets are down, but the best part about that is the natural filtering system. I think you'll find that the people in this room are people that are actual builders. There's like this correlation between the price of Bitcoin and how much people in the room are full of shit, right? Thankfully, you guys are here, which means that you are more likely to find people to do business with. My name is Erica Gemma. I'm known as the Bank of Erica online, also the godmother of the Miami Bitcoin scene. Now, how did Miami become this mecca of technology, of decentralized technology? Why is it that so many people are moving here and house prices are going up? It's because, back in the day, we opened up this thing called the Bitcoin Center. And what we did was we educated people and we brought people together. And that's kind of what's happening right now. Although it is a decentralized technology, it's very important to meet people in person, make in-person connections, form those bonds, and really build community. And that's what our first panel is going to be talking about, so I'm pretty excited for that. But really, you guys, this is a unique experience for you to meet with your community at Dcentral, which this is the largest Web3, DeFi, and NFT conference in the entire world. So without further ado, I'm just going to give it up to our sponsors. Our big sponsors for today are Candy Club. Thank you to Candy Club. Make sure you check out their booth. Mythical Games, X Metaverse, Secret Network, and Binance for streaming. Make sure you guys, when you're here, that you dive deep into technology, you make friends, you learn something new, and you smile at people because you're definitely in the right place at the right time. First thing, I would like to welcome up Laura Walsh to the stage. And they are going to be talking about building Web3 communities. Give it up for Laura Walsh.
All right. Yep.
We are serving Miami. We are serving. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We are your first panel. We are building Web3 communities. I'm supposed to be up there with my merch, of course, because this is the company I'm promoting or representing. It's Natives Gaming. It's esports, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I want to introduce, well, actually, I want them to introduce themselves to you, and I'm just going to try to sit my old butt down in this really low chair. But it's my first time in Miami. It's only my second time in the United States, and it's my first time at Dcentral. So I'm like really, really excited. So thank you for having us, and let's get to it.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming so early today. My name is Victoria. I'm in Web3 and crypto space from 2013. I was with Cointelegraph for many years, serving as a CEO and bringing into the top positions on the market. And a year ago, I founded a PR and marketing agency called Encryptoland, and we have worked with many different brands, building communities, doing organic PR. So we'll be happy to share some insights today with you.
Hey everyone, my name is Jay Karahashi Sokue, the VP of Marketing at Ava Labs. You guys might have heard of the company. We're one of the main companies behind Avalanche, the layer 1 blockchain.
Yeah.
I've been in the space since 2015, working mostly as a marketing leader, ran an agency for a few years, and then also was working in the Ethereum space. So I think the kind of diverse perspective is usually what I like to bring to the conversation. So excited to be here. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Zach, CEO of Genzio. We do Web3 marketing, community management. Been in the space since 2011, worked at Ripple and OKX, now doing marketing in the space. So really excited to speak about community with these other legends on stage.
Hi, everybody. My name is Benji Freeman. I'm the founder and CEO of Everse. We're building a social networking platform and community building platform through the use of Web3 technologies. Prior to this, I was pursuing a career as a professional gamer during high school, and it gave me a lot of influence into the creator economy and all the issues that they're dealing with, which influenced me to try to solve those problems. Super excited to talk about community building.
All right.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to start us off with when we say the word community, what does that mean to you? Because if we're talking about traditional, not even just tech industries, we're talking about traditional businesses. When you say a community, they're going to look at you like you've just grown and spread an extra head. Like, what? Sorry, I don't know what you mean. But as we know in this industry, without a community, you might as well not exist. You will not be successful. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, and whoever wants to go first, I'm not going to enforce any type of order here, but who wants to go first? What does the word community mean to you?
Yeah, I can take that. For just the quick and short expression here would be a group of people who have shared common beliefs and values. And this can persist both online and offline. So that's kind of the long and the short of it.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in there. I think the main difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is that Web 2 or traditional businesses, you have customers, right? So people buy your product, they go home, they consume it, maybe they leave a review online, right? In Web 3, the community are people that you interact with every day. They're on your Discord, they're on your Twitter, your Telegram. And so when you build a community in Web 3, these are people who are actively using the products that you built, and they have passion about it. Like people who are really passionate about Dogecoin, for example, or different crypto, that makes them a community. Or different tokens or NFTs, much more so than if like you were just a bunch of people buying a certain product. So I think community is really about people coming together over common ideas and products. Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah, I think when you're building a community, you need to target people with a shared identity around the project that you're executing on. I feel like this is very important because when you find the right people to target while you're building a community, you want to make sure you're solving a problem that actually matters in life, where people can, participate and be incentivized to engage consistently in a positive manner.
For me, community is when people are together and they all have some particular problem they need to be solved, and they're doing that together.
Okay, thank you very much. To kind of put it in a bit of a nutshell, almost in no other industry, well, except Twitter right now, in no other industry are you going to be able to connect directly with the C-suite or directly with the CEO founder and have that type of instantaneous feedback and iteration and ideation with some sort of business project or concept, as you will in this industry. So for me, I'm going to answer my own question, but for me, a community is absolutely essential because they're kind of in it with you. It's more of a collective building exercise than just, hey, here's my product, I'm throwing it out to you, you buy it. It's more of let's build it together. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm reading my question. So number two, we've all been in this space for a while. Some of us longer than others. But I'm sure you guys have seen some successful examples of quote unquote good communities, and what do you feel is the number one component of a good community?
For me, following from the definition of community, really community should have some problem. It has the goal to solve this problem. And also, I would say shared values and rituals. I feel like when people are engaged in some internal culture and they understand they can really influence their decision making and understand how to do it and how to help their community grow, then like it really drives their growth.
I think the most important component in a community is bi-directional communication. You really need to allow people to be vocal and be comfortable in expressing their ideas and opinions within inside a community. This can also more incentivize participation and engagement while also being in a very positive ecosystem that you're participating in.
Yeah, and I think you asked for like a really good example of a community that's successful. I think Bored Ape Yacht Club, has done phenomenal in terms of community building. You meet someone who has a Bored Ape, they will tell you within 10 seconds of you meeting them. They probably have a hoodie on, they probably have the hat on, they definitely have it in their Twitter picture. So I think that's community, right? It's like repping what you have on all fronts. And I think they've done a phenomenal job of building that community. If you see someone who's literally wearing a logo of something that they own every day on every piece of clothing, that kind of brand loyalty is insane. That can only be built through Web3. And I think that's a huge part of what makes this industry unique in terms of what we can do with people who are working with us and building with us, especially building in public. So, publicly showing everyone what you're building as you're doing it and getting community feedback while it's happening. I think that's very innovative as well and didn't really happen before Web3 became mainstream.
So Benji touched on a point with bi-directional communication. For me, I think I'm taking that maybe a step further and really highlighting the idea of empathy. And when you think about communities in bull markets, usually they rally behind you, especially in crypto, there's tokens associated with a lot of the things we do. And so it's just only human nature to really feel very euphoric during times of massive value accrual. And then also the opposite is very true. During bear markets, you're going to have almost kind of like the pitchforks and sticks and whatever weapons you may have to kind of rally against what you're doing. And for someone that has been in the position, like actually all of us, where we've been in marketing organizations within Web3 or crypto, before it was called Web3, really trying to push our core narrative far and wide, you start to notice it's not necessarily about being right all the time. It's actually rarely about that. It's really understanding what people want out of your project. And I tend to find that, especially during the bear markets, this tends to be one of the best kind of pieces of advice. And I think the complexity of our space is with those tokens associated, like I mentioned before, any crypto brand, any NFT brand, anything that has a token gets treated like a publicly traded company on day one. That is an insane standard to be held at. And we are held accountable for that because of the new community building platforms like Telegram, Discord, all these tools that are very new to all of us. And we are sometimes navigating how best to use it. And also the dehumanization of these platforms. When you're behind a screen, your voice is arguably the most loudest it can possibly be in any human interaction, for better or for worse. And so sometimes, as weirdly as it sounds, I tend to just talk to community members on a one-on-one basis, if time allows, just to kind of take some sampling of, okay, here's one person who's super frustrated, and his or her gripe is the only gripe that he has is really related to the token price. And if you kind of start to internalize these things and really understand where you sit at when it comes to your brand and all of the people that you're talking to, then I think you can actually start to understand, okay, well, some things you can't change and they're out of your control, but maybe there's communications and marketing that you can kind of push through to buy yourself more time. And then similarly, if someone's actually showing positive signals, then you could say, okay, well, let's double, triple down on these people and see if we can, like we were saying before, in terms of like, how do we amass people to be on our side so we can actually amplify our effects larger than we could as a core team, but also broadly with everybody else that's part of the movement. So kind of the empathy point is really what I always touch on when asked this question.
No, that's actually an amazingly good point. And you and Zach, you mentioned Bored Apes. Now, I don't think they're bad per se, but it kind of leads me into the next question. NJ, you picked up on on some ways the toxicity as well in communities, because we all know it's there. Sometimes we've been guilty of it, but we all know it's there. The people behind the people building, like the builders, can be absolutely just bombarded with negativity and toxic messaging and, go to hell, or they're going to attack you for something you actually do not have control over, because we are, and as you said, it's treated like a publicly traded company from day one. A lot of us are just starting out and this is our first business, and to be held to that standard is amazingly difficult. So again, but Bored Ape Yacht Club, oh my goodness, sorry. It's not that I think it's bad, but I think sometimes in that way, the exclusivity is a bit exclusionary. And this kind of goes to a different, it's a whole other different topic, but when you talk about adoption of Web3, of tokenization, when you're talking about, yeah, my club's better than your club, we're just kind of going backwards. It feels like sometimes we're regressing into, cliques from high school where we should be a bit more, it sounds a bit utopian, and I don't mean to be, kumbaya, but we really should be having a much bigger tent than we have right now. So I agree with you with, hey, you're wearing what I'm wearing, and hey, we support this too, and that's great. I think we just need to open the tent a bit more. I mean, as a marketing strategy and as a, a money-making endeavor, yes, absolutely. I think from an inclusion point, I don't think it's there, if you get what I mean. So again, I am getting to a question. What makes a bad community? And what makes a toxic community? What do you avoid and to try to avoid?
I think Jay spoke on this well about how focusing on token price too much is like not a great way to go. I mean, I thought about like an iPhone or something. It's like everyone loves their iPhone or their Apple product, regardless of the price of Apple's stock. The technology is great. That's why we love it, because they build amazing things. And so I think that's why people use it. And I would say, I agree, some of the Bored Ape stuff can definitely be exclusionary, and that's not a great thing. So I think you really want to find communities that are focused on the products that they're building and the problems that they're trying to solve. In terms of bad communities, I'm not going to call out any communities or anything like that.
No, not by name, but like what as a general concept makes a bad community, or what kind of ruins the vibe if you're getting
ruins the vibe?
Yeah.
Man, I think a lot of things can ruin the vibe. If you have like all dudes, that can ruin the vibe for sure in a crypto community. I think that's a big part of it. Definitely people who are like Bitcoin maximalists.
I think any maximalists in general will ruin a lot of things.
That could ruin the vibe too.
I think the best example of a bad community are ones where the founders are executing on a certain idea that hasn't worked in the past. Also, where the community members are specifically just there for, financial gain and don't really care too much about the long-term vision of, participating in an idea that could potentially change humanity as a whole.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that when the first target is financial motivation, then when you go to all these toxic messages every time the token drops, and the founders like, oh my God, what's going on? I think it's also coming from when the team doesn't understand who is the community for, and then they just start targeting all the random groups, all the people, and then you just have the community which doesn't understand what's the purpose, what's the target, and they just want the token to grow in price. Second, I think many community leaders do not actually engage community in growth enough and just make a decision on their own. And on the one hand, you go and see a lot of people there, but sometimes it's just kind of announcement channel. Also, I think it's a very bad thing when you're not transparent with your community. Yeah. And for example, you just ignore some difficult questions, try to avoid them. It's really good even to be vulnerable with your community and discuss the problems together. And I have seen really great examples when projects were in a very complicated situation, but when you just bring problems up as you are, you can be very surprised how community can actually help you.
I think one of the main themes I'm thinking of would be going back to the misalignment of values. Once those start to happen within your community, that could actually lead to negative results because it's not actually aligned to what you as a project lead or a project team is trying to accomplish. And I think that could happen from all of the different examples that we've been told, where it's lack of diversity. I'm not saying just gender or even ethnic, but could also span socioeconomic. I think socioeconomic diversity is extremely hard in a highly risky asset class like ours. To usually people who don't have means to really take large risks can't enter the space. And I know that that's kind of one of the narratives that we tend to push as an industry, and one that I think is actually the hardest to accomplish. So again, kind of goes back to, let's just keep really understanding people. What do they want? And if you actually have to segment the community, that's actually okay too. No one ever said that you had to have one unified group of people leading the charge. And if you think about the internet, there's all these different types of personalities. I love electronic music, cats, Shibas. I'm Japanese, not because of the crypto reason. But you guys might not like any of those things. To rally behind the same thing doesn't make sense. And we have really unique backgrounds. We have incredible journeys that we've come to experience, and we also have so many more things to experience in the future. And so I think it's kind of goes back to scale, which seems really ironic that in marketing also we have this problem and this challenge, not only just on the technology side.
Thank you, everyone, for such thoughtful answers. And I wanted to touch upon authenticity. So, and what Victoria talked about, community growth. So, as founders or marketers or community builders, how do you ensure authentic community growth? And by authentic community growth, I mean let's kind of not go with the bots and not go with the paid followers and try to weed out the airdrop hunters and the snipes. And so what has worked? What have you seen that's worked for projects really well, and what has not worked?
I mean, you got to be on Twitter Spaces. That's huge one. I mean, we're running a lot of different Twitter accounts for our clients, and I think directly engaging with your community, talking to them, being on Twitter Spaces is huge. Keeping up with the latest technology and replying, engaging directly. So if you can have AMAs, talking to people, like at Genzio, anyone can contact us at any time and directly speak to us. you can't do that at a lot of traditional companies. So I think that's pretty important.
I think one of the most important things in getting authentic growth inside of your community is having a really thoughtful PR strategy with your project. Consistently speaking out to the public, joining spaces, communicating in your Discord server, and also developing as many partnerships with great companies you possibly can. This will allow for many more people to see what you're working on and participate inside the community.
I think partnership strategy works very well when you're able to find good partnerships with projects with which you are able to build a win-win cooperation, and then when you do some collaboration with this community and help each other with cross-marketing, it works really, really well. For example, even with the airdrop can be used in a very bad way. You would drop everything on the airdrop sites, and then you get all this toxic audience who just want airdrops and tokens. But airdrop itself is just an instrument, and if you use it through the right channels with the right messaging, it also works quite well. Yeah.
As a blockchain
I
developer,
think the combination of audience segmentation and also understanding your tools is super important. For example, if you think about Telegram, for some reason, we've all co-opted to be like the #1 platform for communicating to our community. I think it's useful in that you actually get into people's pockets basically instantaneously. But as you scale that effort, it starts to become a little bit less impactful and I think less authentic. That's kind of the issues that we found at Avalanche. We again had a community of tens of thousands. Now we're probably closer to 100,000, or at least a channel with members. Sorry. And so now with audience segmentation, we're seeing, okay, well, there might be pro day traders. They actually should be in a smaller Telegram or maybe a different platform that might be more conducive to that work. On the flip side, developers, usually it seems, at least the ones I've spoken to, don't really like Telegram for the noise to signal ratio. And they're really looking for tools and peers to help them build and improve their workflows. And Discord for a hot second was actually that platform. But then interestingly enough, the NFT community really co-opted that. And all of a sudden the noise for developers started to get much larger. And so at Avalabs, we're really trying to figure out, okay, what makes most sense. Weirdly, we've kind of come full circle. And I think one of the options might be a very plain static, like Stacks Overflow or like a forum of some sorts, just to really take things down. Reddit was the same thing. You saw Reddit boom in the ICO era. It was like the main thing everyone used to get information. Now it's a little bit noisy. And so I think the filtration, the natural course of these platforms is really something marketers should be in tune with. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to think that the strategy that worked 5 years ago is also going to work as effectively now or in the future. And I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Back in the day, we just had web forms. We had our own form. Yeah. This is only for this, and they're all subgroups. Developers had their own, and so they didn't have to mix with the day traders. That's absolutely correct. And I really like your point about segmentation. Actually, I mean, the basics. Here's your announcements channel. Here's your trade channel. Here's your main community, what have you. But I think even diving a bit deeper into that specialization makes a bit healthier communities. And Victoria used the word airdrop, so that makes me want to ask everyone, first thought that comes into your mind when you hear the word airdrop. No think, just say.
Fancy crypto term for giveaway.
Diluting your valuation.
I don't know if I have a single thought on airdrops, but I believe that they can be super beneficial and kind of containing a community for the long term if you do it right. I think one good example of a project that's executed on this pretty well is Artifact and their kind of strategy on an airdrop to airdrop to airdrop basis. When you purchase their first digital asset, every airdrop that you got after that came from the previous one. And they also gamified it to kind of keep people engaged and participating with inside the ecosystem to get these airdrops. And I think that keeps people in the project for the long term and gets them to consistently hold on to them So I think that, they did a really good thing.
I think maybe my word would be think. Just take a second and think about it. Really understand what your role is within that airdrop, if you have one. Is it a long-term situation? Is it a short-term situation? Even before that, you could actually think about it and say, like, is this a scam or is this legit, right? Like maybe that's actually the first test. So really take your time. No one's really forcing you to hold these things. Not to say that also to suggest that you have to sell it, but really just like understand where you're at in the situation, how this can take you forward if it can, or if you believe in those values that is shared by the community that had given you those tokens for that airdrop. Great, that's a positive signal. If not, maybe reevaluate.
Yeah, I think I've already shared that I think airdrop itself is just an instrument which can be used in a good way and in a bad way. I think like now it's already a little bit overused and everyone is so fed up with those airdrops. Everyone is doing it. I would focus more on a content strategy and building storytelling around your brand rather than just doing airdrop.
Absolutely. So this is our final question. And if I could get possibly just a really short answer on everything, because I know we're coming up on time. What is your top tip for founders, community managers, and just general moderators on keeping communities healthy and happy?
I think the top thing for community managers is that, you all have the ability to spark a positive conversation inside a community, and you set the tone. When it comes to founders, you have to consistently be engaged and participate, be communicative with everyone who's participating within your project and who believes in it. If you don't do that, there's a lot less engagement throughout the process.
I think it's regular events, communication, and also just being very transparent with what you're doing, letting the community know what you're building, keeping them informed so that at every step they're pretty aware of what's going on, and so that they can be a part of the process as you're going through it. I think that's really important.
For any team member or even community members, I would say know your value as a project. And to kind of quickly expand on that, how are you competitive against your other competitors effectively? What is the thing that makes it so someone should choose you over anyone else? And I tend to find that in Web3, it gets a little bit convoluted. And if you can't articulate that well, then you should go back and figure out how you can do that. So then you can actually go out and empower everybody else to be on that same page.
I think it's super important to put a lot of energy from the start and think deeply what you want to build a community for, who you target, and really have thoughtful community strategy. Because like if you start building a community and you don't understand what you're building, then you have this group of people and it just much harder to transform this community into high quality community. Then I think it's also super crucial to identify like the core members of the community who really want to participate and grow, and to come up with some engagement mechanism for them and incentivize mechanism. And it does not even have to be always financial incentives. People just like love when you value what they do and show that you like want to be with them, and do some kind of rituals, appreciations and stuff like that, and really like engage your community in growth of your product.
Thank you, everyone. I think communities feeling valued is a big thing just across the board. It doesn't have to be monetary. Just showing them that they're valued, their opinion is valued, and their voice is valued. And I know we're coming up on time, so we're going to do really quick shout outs before I'm kicked off the stage. I'll let all of you do yours as well. I'm representing Natives Gaming, natives.gg. We have an event on the 30th. I know you'll probably all be here, but it's in Dublin, and we're an esports company. So we're finally bringing Web3, well, not finally, but we're bringing Web3 into European esports. Okay. And we're in Division 1 in the NLC in Ireland. And so please go check it out, natives.gg/events. It's going to be pretty cool. And if any of you guys have anything to shout out, do it now because we're live.
No, I'm picking you up. You gotta go. We gotta go. Come on, quick, man. Shout it out. You guys give it up for our amazing panel. Thanks, everyone.
Suited and booted.
You guys, community is all about bringing people together, which is what we're doing here today. And it also is important, because what's happening is that you have this new monetization structure where you're able to timestamp and incentivize your followers. But if you are someone who is joining someone's community, it is changing. So don't be afraid to be able to pay those people upfront that you want to support. So up next, I do have a Crypto Wendy O. Wendy, please come up to the stage. How many of you guys follow Wendy online? Yeah. Personally, Wendy is great. She's humble. She also has the largest following on YouTube for a female. So please follow her on YouTube. And Wendy, take it away.
Hey everyone, thank you for being here. Big shout out to Dcentralcon. They actually put on the best conference ever in crypto, and I've been to a lot. Also too, shout out to everybody that is watching from home on the Binance live stream. Make sure to smash the like button, drop a like, comment, all of that fun stuff, subscribe and set alerts. And today we're going to be talking about the NFT wave and how it is just starting. So if my lovely, amazing panel guests would like to come on up, give them a round of applause, please. They deserve it. They deserve it. Everyone. All right, so the way I like to do these panels, I like everybody to chime in. I want everybody to talk because your opinions matter to me, and this is how we all learn. So please go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you work, and give us a quick shill of what you're doing in this space.
My name is Vlad Panchenko, and I'm CEO and founder of eMarket, the biggest in-game items marketplace and NFT marketplace for games in the world since 2017.
Hey everybody, I'm Alexander. I work at Coinbase, specifically on Coinbase NFT as design lead from the beginning of the project and currently what I'm building.
I'm Alexander as well. Yes, I'm Alexander as well. Alexander Salnikov, one of the co-founders of Rarible and doing strategy. And the main thing Rarible is focused on is to give you a marketplace if you want your own.
And I'm Michael Turpin. I'm at Michael Turpin on Twitter, Instagram, and a bunch of other things. I am with Transform Ventures and Transform Group. Transform Group has done a lot of marketing for crypto over the years, and Transform Ventures is incubating and venture studio for a number of projects, including Open Carbon, which we're looking to be the first enterprise NFT marketplace for carbon offsets.
Amazing. We've got an amazing lineup here. Guys, give them a round of applause again, please. Okay, so we're talking about NFTs because essentially we're still early. I think that we're still early. So before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff, I want to know what made you excited about NFTs. When did it finally click? What was it? Because for me, I heard back in 2018 how NFTs can kind of solve the problem in the music industry. So.
Well, for me, it was a life journey. Since the first games, we actually have been creating in-game items like Ultima Online. But the best and most miracles case, which I've seen in my life, was in February 21st, when the Russian invasion started, the full-scale invasion in Ukraine. And in 48 hours, all crypto community all over the world donated over 20 million in crypto and NFTs to the government to stop the aggression. And then within the next couple of months, actually, we got over 200 million in donations in cryptos, in NFTs like CryptoPunks, like Bored Apes. So that was one of the use cases which actually inspired me probably mostly in the last years. And once again, I just want to thank to the Florida and Miami community for all the support from the government, from the governor of Florida and mayor of Miami. However, it's worth to mention that NFTs could be used for good and for evil as well. And for example, there are lots of cases when the Russian-founded companies were still having their employees in Russia, paying taxes in Russia, in the country, which was like 4 days ago, by the overwhelming majority in European Parliament, was proclaimed a state sponsor of terrorism. They're still paying taxes there, making business there. So that would be my question. How do you feel about that? Nadia, another Alex.
Well, let's not get too wild because we only got 30 minutes. But so NFTs can be used as a way of social good, but at the same time, because we're trying to operate in a true decentralized economy, there's always a negative aspect, which is fair.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a big foodie, so I'm in a big chat with my friends, and I think maybe 4 years ago, some of them sent me a message saying like, "Hey, have you heard about these new NFTs?" And I had no idea what they were talking about, and I thought it stood for new food trucks, which I was very excited for, but it obviously wasn't that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really into NFTs specifically around the technology that comes with them, not necessarily the art or the collectibles, even though as a designer, I really do love art and I've grown up, with art in my life. But it's really, I think, the technology that's behind it, being able to authenticate your own artwork or creative means or even assets, whether it be digital or in-world assets in the future. Some of the gates and keys and stuff like that NFTs might open up for people to either build or maybe even merge part of their life into, which is really, really exciting. And if you think about the metaverse, you're into that type of stuff, it gets to that place even faster. So
that was nice. For me, I think this CryptoKitties, of course, we all remember how it was a living creature that exists on the blockchain in the form of NFT. That is cool. But so it's like half clicked at that point. But the real click was when we were just about to start Wearable, and we just uploaded a picture to the blockchain, created an NFT out of that, and then we sold it to each other, like just internally inside the team. And at some point, like I bought an item from my friend, and it's just a picture uploaded to blockchain, but I can see it in my wallet. I can change my wallet to another wallet, and it still will be there. So this consumer experience, it felt almost like going to Amazon and shop something cool. So this emotion of this thing actually feels like my item that is in my wallet, in my pocket, and like I'm ready to pay for it. I believe that this drives like half of the consumer experience with NFTs. There's just people that are ready to pay for this beautiful thing to be theirs, just theirs.
So I would say I've gotten excited about NFTs a number of times with false starts. The first time was in 2013. I started a group called Bid Angels in early 2013, and by late 2013, there was a group trying to do some fundraising through us that was for colored coins. And I thought colored coins were like, wow, you can actually take one Bitcoin that at the time is worth maybe $100 and divide it into 100 million pieces. It's still worth the same one Bitcoin, and 100 million is still worth that same Satoshi. You could buy, say, $1 worth and have 1 million NFTs that you can structure. Colored coins never quite got there because it was just too difficult to go and attach a JPEG to it, for example. But that was the original concept. After that, I was working very closely with the Counterparty team in 2014-15, and that's where Rare Peppies came out. There was a frenzy among the small group of kind of Counterparty users, which is also building a Bitcoin, and they figured out how to go and attach something a little better than colored coins. Then 2017, I think everybody had their first experience in Ethereum with CryptoKitties. That's certainly the first asset that I bought. Background, and then it kind of was fallow for a while and went through crypto winter like we're going through now. And I will say that the first thing that I saw that this is going to stick was the very small but vibrant NFT NYC conference right before the pandemic kicked in February of 2020. Every other conference was doom and gloom, and people were just going nuts buying CryptoPunks, which had been given away for free, and they were paying $4,000 or $5,000 for them. And obviously they would then want to 100x within the next year. And so the frenzy obviously was kind of the final, like, okay, this is happening to the point where when Beeple and $500,000 Bored Apes were the thing, that you can see that it had to pull back.
So with that being said, the industry has advanced quite a bit, and it's going to continue to advance. And I personally believe, not financial advice, but I personally believe the next bull run that we see is going to be driven by NFTs. It's going to be driven by metaverse play to earn. It's going to be driven by platforms that are actually solving real world problems and making everything more accessible. Woo! Yeah. Yeah. Make sure to smash the like, guys. But with that being said, what are you all working on to help advance the industry forward? Because let's face it, we're in a protector capital market, also known as a bear market. So we do have a little bit of free time to do things. So what are each one of your companies working on to help advance the industry?
I think the biggest advance in the speed to make it happen would be delivered by the bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. At the moment, we can open up to the general public and like the average Joe to enter the Web 3 and do something with the items, being that a video game or streaming platform or something like that. That will be the moment when everything will just become real business for tens of millions of people.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about too much just from being, you know, a behemoth of the company, but
Come on. You got to give us some alpha. Any alpha?
sorry, you guys don't pay me that much to be here. No, but what I can say is I think from the beginning, Coinbase NFT has always been about communities and really trying to enable the communities that and the people that surround those communities. So I think that what we're trying to do to advance is just bring more people into the space in general, from different parts, whether, you know, might not be specifically, or, you know, a financial interest that they might want to join or something like that, but, you know, it might be a friend of theirs or somebody is a part of a community and find, you know, places where they can meet, because all those places are so disparate now between Discord and Twitter, and a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily live on chain or anything like that. So kind of bringing all that stuff together is really, I think, a big mission of ours, and enabling new artists to come in and be able to, you know, drop their artwork and give it out to those communities that are really kind of dying to see it. Yeah.
So, Verbal, not many of you probably know that, but okay, it's a marketplace. That's many of you know. But what are the two things that we're working on today that are advancing the space forward? The first one is the open source API that indexes all NFTs on Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, Flow, and you can spun up your own node of the indexer and you can build your own NFT project on top of that without relying on a third-party API that can shut you off. So that's one thing. And the second thing is the Shopify. Shopify for NFTs, you can create your own marketplace. We work with brands. We build like 10 marketplaces with brands that are big. One of them would be like Pixel Wall, and there is like 1,000 marketplaces generated by other people using the tool that allows you to spin up your marketplace. NFTs are e-commerce of the metaverse. Let's move forward.
Don't forget you're working in Russia, paying taxes in Russia and sponsoring.
Hey.
I live in US.
No, I just asked you a question. What was your opinion about it? You live in US, but half of your company is paying taxes.
I would like to get Michael's point of view first. I would rather, if you guys want to come on my channel and debate this, more than happy to have it, but not here. Go ahead, Michael.
So I've got three things that Transform mentioned right now that are sort of in the NFT space, very different. The first one is MegaMask, which is going to be previewing next week at the Puerto Rico Blockchain Week. And it is, as it sounds, a MetaMask competitor, but it's multi-chain. I'll have a couple of cool features and we'll launch in Q1. Second one I mentioned was OpenCarbon.net, which again, enterprise. I think enterprise NFTs are going to be something that really advances during the bear market because enterprise software is getting funded. And it's not about like how much can you get for your 17th derivative of a Bored Ape. It's how can you use the properties that are built into NFT marketplaces or supply chain or other types of real world applications that are better done with non-fungible token technology than fungible or, some other form of private ELT. And the third one is I've got something called SimDogs, which I launched a few months ago to help raise visibility and funds for my big lawsuit against AT&T for SIM swapping. It's simdogs.com. I commissioned Andrei Maripolsky as an artist, so you can just go and see it.
So with that being said, I really want to hit hard on how important it is to use NFTs for fair licensing, because let's face it, when we talk about a lot of these third-party predatory industries, they make you sign your life away if you're a creator, if you're making art, if you're making music, if you're a writer, etc. And then I do want to hit hard on community, because to me, the community is the way that we teach. It's the way that we get more people excited about NFTs, involved, educate, so they can essentially take their power back. So when it comes to NFTs and licensing, I would really like to hear everybody's thoughts on why that's important and if your project is helping to move that forward.
Well, intellectually wise, it's very important. And this is, for example, how NFT and OpenSea started, with paying all the royalties to the artists, creators, and etc. But in the last, 3 to 6 months, OpenSea is losing tens of percentages of market share, because there are lots of other markets, trading marketplaces or trading NFTs and art NFTs, not paying any royalties at all, just cutting those 5%. And people are going there, buying it, selling it, and it just how market decides that somehow we don't have to use NFTs to pay royalties to actual IP rights holders and those who create. And again, it doesn't make me happy. We have to fix it somehow. But yeah, this is the reality we live in, and this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, for us, it's royalties in general are fairly new for us. We are trying. I can't really talk about too much of it.
You can't talk about anything to us.
Come on. I'm so sorry.
Can you tell me backstage and I'll sign an NDA?
Maybe. Everybody get on NDAs, lock the doors. Yeah, so I mean, but what I can say is that we really respect the artists in general and want to give as much back to them, as I think most of our got into it for that reason. Most of the reason why Coinbase NFT at Coinbase was created was around that reason. So again, it's not always going to be perfect, just because there's money being involved in a lot of those things. So yeah, we as a team definitely have that as a major top of mind thing that we want to continue to work on and push and make sure that we're giving back to artists as much as possible.
If we just talk in broad about why NFT licensing is important, first of all, I love crypto for the fact that you don't need legal for it to exist. So everywhere in the world, you need to have the legal ground, and then something happens. In crypto, it can just work, and then the legal can catch up. So now we're seeing the legal to catch up with NFTs, and of course, to connect with Web2, to connect with everywhere, we need licenses to just exist in the legal sphere. So projects like A16Z, open licenses for NFTs, absolutely love it. One really great example of licensing that I saw recently was Animoca released a license that preserves royalties. You can actually sue the marketplace that doesn't respect royalties, or you can DMCA yourself from that marketplace. So those are use cases that are really cool. We need licensing, we need CC0. This is the absolutely must-have for the wider institutional adoption. It's period. But great, we can even work without it. That's what I love.
Question though, is Rarible, is it making it optional for people to pay royalties like some of the other platforms?
No, we support royalties, and we won't support royalties, and all of you should support royalties, and that should be an artist's choice.
And then Michael, can you talk to us a little bit more about, because you were the one that mentioned it on stage about the licensing and the IP rights. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So 3 projects that I mentioned, the only one that's relevant as being a consumer, kind of rights-based offering would be SimDogs. With Open Carbon, we're just selling physical carbon largely to Fortune 5000 companies and using it as a method to be able to track it cradle to grave to retirement. With SimDogs, first of all, what you were saying about, kind of the legal catching up, it eventually catches up. I think for the most part that there are very, very few courts that are going to say, well, the smart contract overrules the written contract. There haven't been a lot of cases, but in most jurisdictions, they're going to say, yeah, no, the smart contract didn't follow the written contract. We're going to enforce the written contract. But I think right now what's happening is that there's just so many early examples. And I believe what you're going to have is best practices like a common commons type approach. I mean, with our one-of-ones, with SimDucks, the more expensive ones, we basically just copy and pasted the Bored Apes rights, and we're giving everybody who has one-of-one the ability to go and monetize it, without paying anything to Andrei Maripolsky, the artist, for their one-of-one. They just can't say they own the entire SimDuck series. With the generative pieces that are going to come out, that will be lower priced, they won't have that.
So as far as moving forward, because let's face it, crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, they're still a little bit complex to use. It's kind of hard for people to mint NFTs, especially if you don't come from a tech savvy background like myself. But how can we start to break down some of these barriers and get people that aren't super tech savvy excited about NFTs, continue to use them for social good, and also continue to educate?
I'd say that it goes through the regular media, like through the video games, through the live stream broadcasting, when you will not actually understand from the very beginning that this is NFT or something is happening. It's just an entertainment mechanism, like a meta game, where you're being part of it. And then at some point, you just don't realize that you're trading something, collecting something. If you want to dig further, you will have that possibility. But if not, it's just another live show, but was interactive communication and interactive engagement. And the same why I'm 100% sure that the locomotive of engagement would be video games, because this is where we can build the business, have fun, make money, and also it's all around the virtual items and NFT.
So I got one more question for you though. So let's talk about it. Some gamers are not very excited about NFTs.
Most of them, like 90% of them. I've been there, and I totally understand. Because 99% of NFT cases for the gamers, you can see on top of the news media and etc. are all scams. That game A just released NFTs, sold them, and just ran away. Game B promised this and this and that, and it never happened. But as I just said, I've been trading in game items when I was at middle school, and I really believe that virtual world opening up possibilities for entrepreneurs through the NFTs, that's a $1 trillion possibility. But we still are missing a good AAA cases to show off around and say, look, this is kind of a Fortnite, but with open economics, with NFTs, where you can have fun, build a business, but everything is safe and trustworthy. At the moment we see the AAA case, lots of things will change. But I honestly understand gamers were infatuated because of all what's happening and what they see.
So do you think it's going to take for a AAA game to launch the NFTs successfully for in-game items, for the rest of people to be like, oh, this is great, we need to do this, I like this better?
To turn around the narrative, that will take a AAA game. For example, how it happened with free-to-play games. Fortnite wasn't the first free-to-play game where it was completely free-to-play but made billions of dollars trading skins. But it was the first game to convince the video games publishers and creators community to create more and more free-to-play games, because that was an example. There were free-to-play games before, but this AAA multi-billion-dollar example turned everything into a positive way. That's why we are building, we're helping to build, and I see those examples, and I'm excited to see them coming.
I think I'm going to get kicked off stage, so let's wrap this up really quickly. Would you like to tell us really quickly how Coinbase NFT is going to kind of help bring the new people in?
Yeah, for sure. I think like from the beginning, we've always wanted to bridge that Web 2 and Web 3 vision. A lot of us that work at Coinbase NFT, specifically myself, I came from Instagram and Facebook for many years. A lot of us have that knowledge from Web 2 deeply ingrained, and a lot of that stuff starts with communities and social. I know I've been harping on this community thing, but that is kind of where it is. It's you build it, they'll come type thing, and a lot of us have really just trying to find ways to whether it be from an educational standpoint or from an interest standpoint or whatever it might be to bring people from that Web 2 side of things to, fully being integrated into Web 3. And yeah, that's what we literally do every single day.
It's coming.
It is coming. It's thickly here, but it's not more, a bigger wave is coming for sure.
Yeah.
Alex and then Michael.
Sadly, the biggest barriers for adoption are out of our hands per se, because most of them are the biggest problem is probably when your Ethereum transaction fails without being tech savvy. There's no reason you can cancel that one and send a new one. So the biggest adoption hurdles will be solved on the wallet, L1, L2 layer, and we can only pray for the gods that will be doing that on Ethereum. What is in our hands is the interoperability and partnerships. So the more NFTs are integrated into different companies, into different products, the same NFTs, the more interoperable they are, the more reason there is to create new technologies for them. So that's what we all can do. Let's go to enterprise. Let's go to software. Let's integrate MetaMask there. Let's integrate more wallets. Let's integrate NFTs. If you know anybody who has a company who has something, allow them, help them integrate NFTs there. That will help the space.
And finally, Michael.
Yeah, so two things. Number one, what you're talking about with the technology integration, that will be fixed. I'm probably the oldest person on this panel, and I remember very vividly the problems with the internet in the early 90s, and people were saying it's never going to get fixed. People are not going to go and put up with an hour to download a video, and if all the things that are just, you don't even think about them anymore right now. There's no way that if you saw the 1995-year internet that you would think that you would ever have 5 billion people on the internet. And similarly, I originally thought that the main way that we get to 1 billion users was through the phone companies. Having dealt with a few phone companies now in my lawsuits, I think they're going to be the followers, not the leaders. Video games, game adoption absolutely is something moving up slowly. But honestly, I think that the biggest driver right now that's going to fix all these other problems is going to be Web 2 users being seduced over to Web 3. Twitter alone with Twitter Blue, Instagram, Facebook, all having you being able to go and put your NFTs on in the next wave. It's going to drive everybody to want to have them and to know how to use them, and that will drive funding for the tools.
Agreed. Thank you all so much. Please give our amazing panelists a round of applause.
I hope you guys got some great alpha from that panel. You have a lot of really intelligent minds, which in general, crypto is filled with really intelligent minds. The next panel is called Just Dow It. Now, I'll tell you that all of these people are lawyers, but like they always say in crypto,
Head out. We're about to see Sunbear and Dreamer at 11 a.m. Eastern. So tune in if you're around. Love you guys. Thanks for joining.